The NFL's Final Four is set. The Chiefs, the 1 seed, the Bills and Eagles, pair of 2s, and then the Commandos coming in. What were they, the 6? Almost forgot. The 6?
They were the 6 because the Packers were the 7, yes.
All right. And that's your Final Four. The big surprise there. And, Sam, I'm seeing one book going to 6 right now on the Eagles. The market is 5.5, a juice 5.5 at a number of spots. So it wouldn't be a surprise if this thing goes to 6. You know, they go to 5.5 without having clarity. I mean, we all expect that Hurts is going to play. And there were a couple of players injured yesterday in the Eagles secondary. But, yeah, you have to consider, okay, where's this number go? If everybody's good to go, if Mitchell's good to go, Hurts is fine, which I'm expecting, does this get to 7? If it's already touching 6 on Monday morning?
I don't know that we get all the way to 7 because there will be people that would be willing to whack Washington at 7 with the way the quarterback is playing. And that's not public bettors. That's wise guy money. They would come in at 7. I mean, the public's going to bet Washington no matter what, because when Washington wins 2 straight games as a dog, they slowly but surely morph into a public dog. I have a feeling the books, and this is a total guess here, but they're probably going to need the Eagles to win the game. And I'm going to guess they probably lead them to cover, man. I mean, this Washington hype train is picking up full steam. And you understand it because they just knocked out the Fighting Gurs of Detroit. I mean, you knock out the number 1 seed, and now it's like, well, now they're getting 5.5. They just beat the Lions outright. So that's all into the psyche. I don't think the books want any part of going to 7, though, because if they get middled on an NFC championship game, that's about as bad as it gets, right? So say people come in, lay the 5.5, then it gets to 7. People take the 7, and the final score is, 26-20. That's lights out for the house on that. That's the worst case scenario, to get middled when there's only 2 games on a Sunday. So I don't think so. I think this probably closes 6. 7 feels like a stretch, at least on Monday.
Okay, I mean, we're getting some movement on both games right now, Monday morning, as we talk, because BetMGM just went to 2 on KC. So the market is 1.5. BetMGM went to 2. I see another book that decided to go to 2.5. Wow. We can get Buffalo plus 8.5 in a teaser. Like, that's what we talked about all last week, getting Buffalo plus 7.5 at home. And now at some spots you can get 8.5. That's also interesting. I think the books understand, okay, the public is going to say, look, the refs are on their side too. It's Mahomes in the playoffs. Look at what he does. Short number. You always back Mahomes. We don't back Mahomes with the large number, like Saturday. And what happened? They didn't cover the closing number, at least. So another situation that you were just addressing, getting middled. It's also something you rarely see in a lot of books. The total is exactly the same. Both title games, both conference championships coming up on Sunday. So, yeah, the scoring is expected to be similar, but you have a much shorter favorite on the AFC compared to the NFC.
So I'm looking right now. I told you one of my guys lets me do teasers, and he's the guy that gives me the minus 105 juice. So the teasers are outstanding. Well, I'm playing this out right now. So I just logged in, and I know conventionally we want to tease through 7 and 3, but I also teased the Eagles from 6 to pick, and it won. So like I hate the absolutist when it comes to tease. Oh, can't tease 5.5 down. Yeah, actually I can do that because they're probably going to win. So I can do Eagles. I mean, call it plus 0.5. Games don't land tie in the playoffs. Eagles to win, Bills plus 8. And I can do that right now. Let's see. Minus 110. How do I not make that bet right now?
That's the best price that I've seen on teasers in years.
Yeah. Well, that's the benefit of having minus 105. I know.
Yep.
Well, when you have minus
Yep.
110, minus 110, it's automatically minus 120. But if you have it
Yep.
out that's able to give you minus 105 on teasers, the math is your best friend. Like, I'm looking at it right now. It's 1,100 to win 1,000. Eagles plus the half, Bills plus 8, minus 105 comes out to minus 110. Should I just make that bet right now?
Yeah, I mean, this weekend, we talked about all week about KC Buffalo, how obvious that was. And then the KC leg hits. Then I'm going into Sunday. I'm like, I love this Buffalo number so much with the teaser. I was like, what can I do? I'm like, well, Philadelphia 7. Let's add Philly. I think they're winning. So, yeah, you had that one a bunch of different ways. Should you do it now?
I mean, the only hesitation would be, does it get to 2.5? And I don't know. Pinnacle's 1.5, South Point's 1.5. I mean, 2s are plentiful right now, as you already alluded to. They moved that overnight because first number I saw, granted, I was on an airplane, Kansas City -1. So yeah, it's moved a point. I don't think we get to 3 though. So, I guess the question is, would you rather take the 8 now or gamble that it goes down to 7.5 because the line comes back to 1.5, right? At this point, I think, you know what? I'm just going to bet it. I just bet it.
Is there information you're waiting on?
No, there's nothing. At this point, it's number. It's number.
Yeah.
So,
right.
All right,
and the Eagles number is going to go up. The Eagles number is probably going to go up. So take the better number now.
Yeah. So I have Eagles to win plus the half. I mean, again, no ties in the playoffs. Eagles to win, Bills plus 8, minus 110. It is done. My other question for you, because this is something that I have to think about over the next, 6 days. We have Eagles, you and I both, to win the NFC.
Mm-hmm.
I also have Chiefs to win the Super Bowl. Should I bet some Buffalo to win the Super Bowl, or am I overthinking it at this point?
What's the Bills price?
I'll check that. I'm going to guess it's like 250. I can't imagine it's that much bigger than that.
Somewhere around there. The
260,
Eagles are the favorite now to win it.
Yeah, 260 is the best number. MGM 250.
I don't think you have to. I like the Bills in the game. I like the Bills in the game. So I don't know if that does anything. That really answers your question at all. But you are sitting pretty with KC. You got Philly. Washington, obviously, the long shot for the Super Bowl. You can find it's plus 750 out there. The Bills and Chiefs number is about the same. The Chiefs slightly lower because they're favored in the game. That makes sense.
So yeah, you have options. If you have a Chiefs future, you could bet the Bills on the money line in this game, or you could bet the Bills to win the Super Bowl. My situation is a little bit more complex because you do have 2 queens left on the chessboard, right? If you had Kansas City to win the whole thing and Philly to win the NFC, like you have the ability to do something else if you want to. That's the only thing I thought about, like taking the Bills to either win the game or just bet them to win the Super Bowl, where they would be favored against whoever they play, obviously. But, these future bets you make in the summer oftentimes put you in a position to do what you want to do. And I did just mention that teaser. So maybe that's enough. Kansas City to win, Buffalo to cover 8. That's not a bad middle at all.
Yeah, depending on what you can get on that. Don't mind that one at all. And I'm looking at the different numbers now for the Super Bowl MVP. You're not getting much of a difference with the quarterbacks. Allen and Mahomes are plus 280. They're both plus 280. The first book I took a look at. Hurts is your third favorite 4-1. I'd rather bet Saquon. If you're doing a Super Bowl MVP on the Eagles with one of the shortest numbers, I would go there.
Saquon wasn't he like 15 going into the weekend? Now he's 5.
Yeah, and he had another 200-yard game.
Of course,
it's gonna happen.
But all the other teams, the Lions get knocked out. That helped because Goff was near the top. Gibbs was very popular. The Lions going out and the Ravens going out with Henry and Lamar. So those are 2 big dominoes out of the way for MVP.
I had someone telling me that James Cook 10-1 rushing leader is a bad idea because Saquon got 200. Like, Saquon was plus 150. And you could make that bet, but don't come to me after the fact. Oh, see, Saquon 200-yard game. It's a guarantee. Like, no, there are no guarantees. Saquon wasn't even the favorite in that market. Given the situation, I'll make that James Cook bet every time. The whole idea was Bills are going to win against the Ravens. Bills won against the Ravens, and it was a number of 10-1. And Cook obviously didn't come close, but, maybe Saquon still only plays in one more game while Cook gets a couple more games.
I'm surprised we haven't brought this guy up yet on this show because we drilled this handicap. Kelsey.
Oh, yes.
Is now
forgot about it.
40-1 to win MVP of the Super Bowl. Did we not laugh at the number that they dangled in our face on him receiving yards? I mean, it was 51.5.
Yes,
he had 117 yards. The catch was a little sweat. The catches prop, rather, 5.5. He got there late, but he had 72 yards on the first two catches, and then he gets the touchdown. So, I mean, if you keyed Kelsey over touchdown, forget it, man. That touchdown price was plus 160. Ridiculous. And the yardage number was never right. 51.5? That was a slap in the face to Travis Kelsey. A slap in the face.
Dude, I got out of baseball practice. It's the second quarter. I checked my phone for the box score. In the second quarter, it was over. It was like 2 catches. He had over the 51.5. That was easy. So we also talked about, before playing a game, we talked about the idea of Kelsey being the receiving leader in the playoffs, even though at max he would only play 3 games. Okay, let's go down the list. Nico Collins, eliminated. Ladd McConkey, out. Now, De'Ami Brown, Terry McLaurin still in. Puka out. Amon-Ra St. Brown out. Shakur alive, likely out. So there are 3 players ahead of Kelsey. That's it. 2 Commanders. The market is telling us they're going to play in one more game. And then Shakur. Yeah, that's the only other one. After one game, Kelsey is live for receiving leader, which would make it 3 straight years for him. Unreal, man.
Not a
Turns
surprise.
it up.
You know who else?
Playoff time.
About McLaurin. McLaurin caught a touchdown. That was easy. 4 for 87 on McLaurin. Had a 58-yard catch. It was a fun weekend, man. We got a lot of stuff right. Those are always a lot more fun than the weeks you get everything wrong. But just to bring it back on Kelsey, best number on him for MVP is 42-1. There are multiple 25-1s in the market. So, yeah, get the good number. And do you have a guess on his yardage prop for the Bills game? It was 51.5 in the last round. What do you think it is now?
Yeah, I did not look it up. I actually did think about it. My first thought was it goes up at least 20 yards. I'm going to say 75.5. Is that too high?
Too high. 68.5.
Man, no. That's okay.
It's Monday. You bet it over now. You just bet it over now. Like, what? If you're going to bet a Travis Kelsey prop any which way, you bet it. You literally bet it now, because by kickoff it's going to be 5 yards higher. And his touchdown number from plus 160 last week, there's a plus 112. There's a plus 120. They're catching up already on Kelsey. Didn't take long. Just took one game for him to remind everybody what he is in the playoffs.
You don't need to overthink it. It's just, it's the playoffs. Now, the last game, he had 2 catches for 8 yards. But nobody's going to bet the under on Kelsey. They're just going to bet over, whatever it is. Like, oh, no, it's playoffs. It's Kelsey. You back him. What is he for a touchdown? Is that posted?
Yeah, I just said plus 112, plus 120, plus 130.
How much did that come down? That's
plus 160.
Way down. Yeah.
50 cents.
Yeah. But that's normal. That's what we're expecting in the playoffs with Kelsey. That price makes a lot of sense. The price over the weekend didn't make any sense. But now, it's going to be tougher to get there. I would still go there with Kelsey.